All right, folks, 15 after the hour, and time for us to go behind the headlines. And we got a story today that actually Bob Jordan turned me on to. This is coming from the HeraldTribune.com here in Florida, and it's about the Manatee County sheriffs. Now, this is an interesting story to us because you may have remembered from our news earlier this year about how the Manatee County sheriff, that would be Sheriff Brad Stubbe, had been involved in putting together a raid on Bob and Cathy Jordan. And of course, Bob's growing medical marijuana to help treat his wife's illness, and for years had been left alone by the previous sheriffs, the previous administrations. But this Brad Stubbe decided, you know, we got to do something about the druggies. We got to go after the people that are taking drugs in our county. We can't have Manatee County going crazy with drugs. Well, just check this story out. The Manatee sheriff confirms the resignation of 3 deputies. From Herald Tribune, they say sheriff's officials have confirmed the names of the 3 deputies involved in an internal investigation. Deputy Thomas Peel has been terminated, while deputies Tom Frank and Chris Tucker resigned. Sheriff spokesman Dave Bristow would not address the nature of the allegations. Manatee County Sheriff Brad Stubbe said earlier the deputies were charged with conduct unbecoming of a police officer. Conduct unbecoming of a police officer. No, they're not talking about raiding Vietnam vets and their wives that are taking medical marijuana. That apparently is conduct becoming of an officer. But no, the conduct here, according to mysuncoast.com, tells us that the DEA, this is their headline, DEA probes Manatee County Sheriff's Office. This is the ABC 7 local news in Sarasota. One day after the sheriff's office confirmed the termination of 1 deputy and the resignation of 2 others for behavior unbecoming of a law enforcement officer, ABC 7 News has learned that the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency has an active investigation underway involving the Manatee County Sheriff's Department. Imagine that, the shoe's on the other foot. Now the sheriffs are being investigated for drugs. But folks, we're not talking about marijuana use or medical use for these deputies, or even recreational use for that matter. According to the mysuncoast.com, the ABC Local 7 says, independent, reliable sources tell ABC 7 News that the investigation involves performance-enhancing drugs and may extend beyond the sheriff's department to other municipal agencies in the government there, in the local government. So this is shocking. Of course, if we're talking about performance-enhancing drugs, one that comes to mind here would be steroids. And we can imagine some of these police officers wanting to bulk up and be an all tough guy and such, getting themselves involved with these performance-enhancing drugs. And the shock of this is that they seem to have plenty of time here to go after Cathy and other medical marijuana users in this state, people that are just trying to stay alive or alleviate some terrible pain or other symptoms. Meanwhile, they want to be pumping themselves full of steroids. Have you heard of roid rage, you guys? This term first appeared in the 1980s after a bunch of violent crimes were committed by bodybuilders, and they're anabolic steroids. They mimic testosterone, and studies have shown clear associations between testosterone and aggression. In general, these hormones change the body's chemistry, change the brain's chemistry. And the research also shows conflicting results for the existence of steroid-induced rages. If they do exist, they happen rarely and likely only among excessive users with pre-existing psychological issues. Well, we would like to think that the police departments in America are doing some amount of psychological testing or counseling or evaluation on these officers before we give them the power to carry a gun and burst into people's houses and ruin their lives. But in fact, when it comes down to it, a lot of these smaller police departments, these county sheriffs and so on, don't have much of a system to check for this kind of stuff. So we're talking about guys who want to be cops, who want to have this feeling authority, want to be the big man. And then we're going to give them steroids on top of that. We're going to exacerbate that macho feeling in these guys. This is something that is far more of concern to the people of Manatee County than whether or not a few medical marijuana patients are taking care of their symptoms using cannabis. These are officers that are sworn to protect and serve. People who have the power over life and death, over what's going on in this county. And to think that they're involved with performance-enhancing drugs, and who else in this county is involved with it? They said it might extend to other municipal offices. We talking about firefighters? We talking about EMTs? These are people that, we want to have at their sharp sharpest, when they have at their best judgment. They have to make snap life and death decisions. They shouldn't have their brains all pumped up with these performance-enhancing drugs that are known to cause aggression and rage in some people. Let's get our priorities straight here in Manatee County. All right, and that sound tells us it's 20 after the hour. That means it's 4:20 back in my home state of Idaho, where it's almost as dry as it is here in Florida, and almost as red, too. Hey, smoke one for me while we take a break. Be right back.
Funny reefer man, a reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man, a reefer man? If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Have you considered medical marijuana? Double-blind, peer-reviewed studies have found cannabinoid therapies to be successful in treating the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, brain cancer, chronic pain, diabetes mellitus, dystonia, fibromyalgia, GI disorders, hepatitis C, HIV/AIDS, hypertension, incontinence, MRSA, multiple sclerosis, osteoporosis, pruritus, rheumatoid arthritis, sleep apnea, and Tourette's syndrome, as well as anecdotal evidence in suggesting relief from anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress, plus reduction in the need for narcotic painkillers. Side effects from medical marijuana can include euphoria, relaxation, anxiety, panic reaction, paranoia, tachycardia, dry eyes, dry mouth, concentration and reaction time impairments, appetite increase, and in some U.S. states, arrest and incarceration. But medical marijuana is non-toxic and cannot cause overdose. Medical marijuana, it's not for everyone, but ask your doctor.
I have the freedom to think however I want. This is the United States of America, and I think I'll let Terry do the thinking for me. Terry Joyce puts the probe back in prohibition. Terry Joyce knows more about conspiracy theories than anyone in the United States of America, and that's because she makes up most of them. Terry Joyce can host a show like no one's ever seen. But that's only because no one's ever seen her host a show before. That's why I'm asking you to watch the Hollywood Hempress Hour with Terry Joyce. And you can trust me because I'm a warlock. Witch's honor.